first of all get started with the first person to analyze and give us the initial feedback on what what the budget presented. Let me invite Sunny Verma, who tracks the Finance Ministry. Sunny, what did you make of the high points of the budget? What are the main highlights?
Yeah. So the key to the budget is that this is an investment-led budget where the finance minister has sought to increase capital expenditure, which essentially goes in creation of assets, income generating assets and infrastructure creation by 35.4%, which is a big jump of about 2 lakh crore rupees compared to last year. So it comes to around 7.5 lakh crore of Capex that they are going to undertake next year. Now, the key to this will be execution, what kind of projects are chosen, whether it's actually implemented and spent on the ground, because Capex also leads to high multiplier effect in the economy, driving other industries, demand for other industries. So while there is no conspicuous demand push in that sense, but money is being put on investment. So say housing projects, this tap water schemes get funding of more than 1 lakh crores. And another interesting thing in the budget is that they have now done away with they have announced that they will do away with the issue of bank guarantees that companies have to provide.
Going into the budget, the finance minister had a tough balancing act in front of her. Private consumption had been struggling in India, but the Modi government has been, since the start of the second term, been very assiduously pushing the supply side of the economy, increasing ways and means in which the businesses can take part and take the lead in growth recovery. And the Capex push that Sunny talked about is the big story today. The kind of capital expenditure, which has a massive multiplier in terms of GDP growth, is the big story of this budget. One question we have got from one of the people watching us is, what's there for the middle class in the budget? And I want Sandeep and Harish both to take a stab at it. Sandeep, what is there for the middle class in this budget?
I think it's a bit disappointing. I mean, the individual may be disappointed because there's not it is not a consumption push driven sort of budget. Also, if you see the K-shaped recovery that you also spoke about with it, I mean, the middle class and the upper middle class, they have been doing fine. In fact, also because of formulation of the economy, those segments have been doing well. It's the bottom 40% that ideally needs to be addressed, which is where the problem lies in the economy after the pandemic, especially. And I think the focus is on investment-driven crowding in of the private sector investment, job creation. I think that is where the focus lies to bring the economy up in that sense. So there's nothing directly for middle class, so as to say. I think even on the consumption front, the maybe the push is that as more people come into the job cycle and all, I mean, with the investment-led growth, that will drive the consumption. I mean, already people who are consuming things, I mean, I don't think there's too much that can happen on that front. That is how I see it. Yeah.
Farm distress was something that was massive going into this budget. What did you make of that? Was there any indication that the government is trying to devise a new strategy to engage with the farmers or on the agriculture front?
This is a remarkably non-political budget. I mean, given the fact that the UP elections, Punjab elections are just, days away, there's absolutely nothing, I mean, as far as farmers are concerned, reaching out. I mean, you only have natural farming, which I don't think farmers on the ground would be too much excited about that, I expected that there will be an increase in PM Kisan, the DBT right now. Right now it says 6,000 rupees. I expected that it might go up to say 9,000 rupees. And maybe they would, raise resources by maybe capping MSP procurement, raising PDS issue price, bringing urea under the nutrient-based subsidy, which you don't announce in the budget, So whereas you announce an increase in PM Kisan, and then don't provide much for food subsidy and those kind of things. But that has not happened. So, which means it's very clear that Modi is probably keeping the gunpowder dry for 2024. There's no income tax cut either, right? I mean, so it's very clear that either BJP is very confident of winning this election, or they don't see the need for investing political capital in this election. I thought that was the most significant thing in this budget.
Right.
Then I'm a little, I think the food subsidy they have not fully provided for.
Yeah, I think all the subsidy, I was looking at all the subsidy numbers, food, fertilizer, all have come down. All the budget estimates.
No, but and the revised estimates don't provide fully actually, because you've had an extension of the Pradhan Mantri that Anna Yojana, Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. You extended it till March, and I think that itself should have cost about 1.5 lakh crore. So that's not being provided for, so which I think is again some kind of a negative, So clearly it's not being provided for, and even in the coming year there's not much this thing. I think the overall assumption is that 2022-23 will be a normal year. There'll be no COVID, etc. So you get back the economy to normal. You have normal economic activity. But say for example the FMCG players, say an HUL or somebody would be very disappointed with this budget because there's nothing for consumption, right? I mean, whether income tax, so for the consumers, to feel good, there's nothing. The whole thing is sort of capital expenditure kind of a thing. So it's a abnormally normal budget. That's what I would say.
Right. Economic survey. There was even in the budget speech, there wasn't much of an acknowledgement of the continuing deep distress in the country. There is a reason why we keep harping back on the K-shaped recovery, that large sections of the society, of the economy are still struggling. While the aggregate numbers might say that we are back to pre-pandemic level, when you get down to disaggregated data, you'll find that there's a lot of stress. I have with me also Ishan Bakshi, who writes on economic issues for the editorial pages, and at his own column, he keeps tracking the distress. So Ishan, has this surprised you that there is little acknowledgement for the distress that is there in the economy?
To some extent, it follows from what the economic survey also was, the way the economic survey is also shaped. There's little detail in both the budget and the economic survey on the extent of the unevenness of the recovery. You talked about the K-shaped recovery. Harish talked about Narega allocations as well, right? I mean, if your Narega allocations have gone down again from 98,000 crores to about 73,000 crores, so that self shows that there perhaps is not an honest admission that the recovery is still uneven, right? That we have vast sections of the labor force, especially the informal parts, and the MSME sector in both the formal and the informal economy, who are still struggling and trying to get back to the pre-pandemic levels. So that, in a sense, is, you can see that trend in the economic survey and in the budget as well, that you would expected a certain amount of investigation, a certain greater detail by both the finance minister and the economic survey, but that doesn't seem to be the case.